Welcome to Publisher Spotlight. I'm so glad you decided to visit us today, and I'm very excited also to tell you about these cool new nonfiction books from some of our publishers. Let's start off with A Plan for the People, Nelson Mandela's Hope for His Nation. This is an incredible book. It's so gorgeously illustrated by Charlie Palmer, who did The Teacher's March, and it's written by Lindsay McDivitt, who actually grew up in South Africa. So she also has several other nonfiction books that she has done. But this is truly a story of how hope was his guiding point all through his life. As you know, he spent more than 20 years in prison. But while he was in prison, he didn't just languish there. He actually managed to get himself an education. He learned how to speak Afrikaans so that when he was out of prison, he could communicate with those in power. And this is a story of how his vision for a South Africa that was for all South Africans, black and white, everybody, that vision was what held him and kept him going, and a really important lesson for us here today. So this is Nelson Mandela Plan for People. This is from Erdman's books, and it has extensive back matter. So, I mean, when I say extensive back matter, I mean a lot of back matter, timelines, further reading, so much information that you can get about South Africa from this book. So excited to show you that one. Next up, Have I Ever Told You Black Lives Matter? So this is by Shawnee Mahiri King, who wrote Have I Ever Told You, which came out from Tilbury House. This is from Tilbury House. And he is a lawyer, African-American lawyer, and with all the unrest that was happening in the spring, he really felt like he needed to talk to his children about Black lives. And so this is a response to that situation that was coming out. And the illustrations are by Bobby C. Martin. Bobby Martin is a really well-known graphic designer and artist. So this is not like any kind of illustrated compilation of important people in Black history you've seen before. It's just so graphically interesting and energetic, almost just shimmers off the page. And there's so many people. Great end papers, right? Are you a sucker for good end papers like I am? And then what is really cool, actually, just gorgeously designed, what is actually really, really fun is that in the back, it has this really detailed list of everybody who's mentioned in the book. There are little vignettes at the back which explain who they are and what their place in history is. So that is Have I Ever Told You Black Lives Matter? Next up, let's talk about Women Discoverers, Top Women in Science. This is from NBM, which is a very respected graphic novel publisher. This book originated in France, believe it or not. It's about 20 women who made a difference in science, and they're just not the usual suspects, although it does have some of those. Marie Curie is in here, Ada Byron Lovelace is in here, but it also has others, people from Africa, China, and people that may not be as familiar to us here in the United States. But it's told in a graphic format, so for those young people who just really want that kind of level of information and like it conveyed in a graphic format, then this is the way to go. Beautifully, beautifully illustrated. It's chock full of great information and just really powerful. So I hope you take a chance to look at that from NBM. And this is part of their comics biography series. So math, physics, computing, astrophysics, engineering, all that is covered in here. Let's go on to Fossils from Lost Worlds. This is from Gecko Press, also from France. France has really great looking nonfiction this year. And this takes a look at dinosaurs and creatures of ancient times, ancient times, from the very first organisms up through the dinosaurs. There are 24 different creatures covered in this. And just looks at the fossil record and uses that as an entry point into talking about those different creatures. So this is, illustrations are just fantastic. You can see, you can learn so much about a book from the actual, and from the table of contents. And it's just gorgeous. So the information is told in an illustrated format and also in a graphic format. So for the kids who really like to get their information from graphic nonfiction, this is a great way to go. And the next book I have to show you is also perfect for that. That is The Good Germ Hotel from One on Earth Books. So this is A Good Germ Hotel, Meet Your Body's Marvelous Microbes. Did you know that if you are 66 pounds, it's been so long since I was 66 pounds, but if you did, that you would have several trillion microbes in you that would probably weigh about the same, about 2 pounds, about the same as a small pineapple. Just one of the cool little facts that's in this book. But you can see that it's organized, again, in this graphic nonfiction format. Ooh, it's always fun when you have poop. And this is the germ hotel. You are. And this is such an important topic right now because kids need to understand how germs work, what germs are good, what they do. Here's an intruder alert. And especially at a time when we're talking about vaccines so much, how those work, how antibiotics work, all that kind of fun stuff. So that is the Good Germ Hotel from What on Earth Books, which is the home of great illustrated nonfiction. And lastly, I want to show you this from Tiger Tales. This is so sturdy, and it's great for those preschoolers who are always asking why, and you don't want to say shut up, but you may feel that way sometimes. I'm not here to judge. But anyway, this is for those kids who just have so much curiosity and you want to feed it. So this explains how a rocket actually works. And it's got these extremely durable die-cut illustrations and these fantastic call-outs all throughout the book. I actually learned a lot from this. So it's about how the rocket works and how a rocket trip works, how you could actually go to the moon, and just so much great information that a kid who wants to know those kinds of things is just going to pour over this thing and never want to give up, never want to give the book up. So that is How It Works Rocket, just a few of the great nonfiction books that we have in our booth. Please go to our Pinterest page to see even more. I think we have like 30 really good nonfiction books. Hello, and are you ready to start hearing about books that talk about the environment and our natural world? Let's start off with The Thing About Bees, now available as an audiobook from Live Oak Media. So The Thing About Bees is from Shabazz Larkin, and I hope you know Shabazz's work. He has done some amazing illustrations, and in this one he is the author and he is the narrator of the audiobook. So triple threat, Shabazz Larkin. Be sure to check out our interview with Shabazz here on our Publisher Spotlight booth in our special page. And yeah, so this is a book that is a celebration of a father's love for his sons, but also a book about bees and about facing your fears and learning about them. So this has got lots of fantastic nonfiction information about bees, as well as the exuberant illustrations that Shabazz is known for. And it's just so much fun. So there you go. You can see Shabazz with his kids. And then in the end, you get all this really, really good information about bees and how to identify them and which ones do what. So this is a really important book to have around your library in springtime when the bees are especially active. And here's a fun fact for you. On the audiobook, when you hear any bzzz sounds, it is actually his kids who are making that sound. So this is truly a family affair. The book is published by Readers to Eaters, and the audio is from Live Oak Media. Always a fantastic combination when those two get together to create something. My next book for you is Coyote Soundbite. I'm kind of teasing you with this one because this is not actually out yet. This is from Lantana Publishing, and this is by John Agard. If you don't know him, he is originally from Guyana and is an amazing poet, beat poet. And this is a story about, also the illustrations, I should mention, are from Pete Grobler, South African illustrator, who has done, I think, I don't know, 75, 80 books. Amazing, amazing body of work. So this takes a story about basically what if all the earth goddesses from all over the world came together and then tried to figure out a way to save the earth. And then the coyote, the trickster coyote, decides that he's going to get in on the action. So this is a book that just begs to be read aloud. So much fun to read aloud and to share in a group setting, but also just really, really beautiful. So this is just a perfect book for Earth Day celebrations, but really, shouldn't we always be celebrating the earth and trying to take care of the earth? I think so. So it's not a bad thing to do that. Always have that around. There you go. And next up, I have a book that anybody can replicate. This is Nightwalk. So this is from Floris, which is based in Scotland. And this book actually came from France, so very international publication for you. So what I love about this book is the luminous quality of it. You can kind of see it shimmer here. And this is about a family. In the middle of the night, the parents get the kids up and take them outside as they go on a walk Isn't that gorgeous? I just don't know how people paint white. This Marie D'Orleans does a beautiful, beautiful job. So they go on this nighttime adventure as they walk through the quiet village. In through the mountains. And the kids don't know where they're going. So it's all very mysterious. Until finally, they get to the destination and they wait. They lie down. Starry, starry night. For something special to happen. And you can guess what? So at a time when a lot of people are making time to go on hikes, have outdoor adventures with their families, this is a great model for a way you can do that. So this is a wonderful book for that. Also check out Seeking in Aurora from Blue Dot Kids Press. There are lots of books that do this, but I think those two just do gorgeous, gorgeous jobs on it. Next up, we have, also from Blue Dot Kids Press, Welcome Home Wales. This is by Christina Booth. And we have an interview with Christina Booth also in our booth for ALA Midwinter, so be sure to check it out. She is an author and an illustrator. She was a landscape artist, and then she also was a teacher. So she is just the perfect person to be writing children's books. In this case, she really wanted to write about right whales. So she wanted to write about right whales. Right whales are some of the most endangered animals on the planet. And this is based on a true story of when a right whale went up in the river in a place that they hadn't been seen for a couple hundred years. And this was an idea that she had about how would why did the right whale go there? How would you tell that story? In this case, they tell the story, she tells the story through as if the whale could talk to this human child and share her story. Just absolutely gorgeous. And it has an environmental message about how we need to save the oceans and keep them clean and also not kill the whales. So just a gorgeous, gorgeous book from Blue Dot Kids Press. I hope you'll look at it. While we're talking about oceans and all the wonderful, miraculous things that happen in them, this is from 360 Degrees. And the thing I love about 360 Degrees is they do interactive books that have novelty aspects to them that are sturdy, but also meant for older readers. So for those kids who are really tactile, they want to be able to lift flaps and turn pages and just really explore a book. This is perfect for them because there's so much information and it's so cleverly done. You can see how there's information here, that this is something they can enjoy for hours. And it is very, very thorough. I love the creativity on this one. So you have information there, but you also have information here. And not only that, but you also have information up here. So just so many ways to encounter and really dive into this book. There's also one on dinosaurs coming in the same series. So that is Oceans. We're talking about exploring. I think that it's a great place to end up with Toon's new book from Linear's, Wildflowers. Now, this is not factual. It's the opposite of that, but that doesn't mean it's any less beautiful and inventive and makes you think about the place around you in a different way. So Linear's is the genius who created Goodnight Planet, written and drawn by Henrietta, which was the Bologna Ragazzi winner for the best graphic novel for young people. And in this one, there are 3 girls. And you know what's interesting? Linear's has 3 daughters. And open it up, and you see this happening on this island. Oh no, there's a plane crash. Oh, these poor children, they're survivors of the plane crash. Okay, spoiler alert, this is all imagination, but it's so beautiful. I love how the wildflowers start talking to the girls, and they just really explore the imagination. So here you go. Hello, what kind of wildflower are you? Beautifully illustrated, endlessly inventive, and what a great jumping off point for kids. So this is Wildflowers by Linear's. And also, if you're a Betsy Bird fan, check out her conversation with Linear's. It is so much fun. It takes about half an hour to watch, but believe me, you'll be riveted. And these are the books that we have in our Publisher Spotlight booth at ALA Midwinter that dive into different aspects of our natural world. Are you ready to jump into an emotional menagerie with me? Let's talk about SEL books, books that focus on social and emotional literacy. This first one is Feelings from A to Z, and it's an emotional menagerie from School of Life Publishing. They're the people you may recall who did The Big Ideas for Curious Minds, which was a wonderful overview of important philosophers from around the world and throughout history. So this one actually takes different animals, 26 different animals, and assigns different emotions to them. It's a great way for kids who really don't have that way of talking about their feelings to be able to describe what they're feeling and get a new vocabulary for that. So wonderful poems. It could be great writing prompts with great illustrations. J is for jealousy. And then, of course, the one that we all think about these days, W is for worry. Oh, so that's what happens when you have a pandemic. And yeah, Y is for yearning, but you get an idea of what it's like. This is just such a helpful tool, and it's really beautiful as well, and just something that could be used, I think, in the classroom. It could be used as as a program, and then I think that the summer reading program, I know the summer reading program this year for a lot of libraries is Tales and Tales, and this is a great way that is not traditional to talk about that. So think about emotional menagerie for your Tales and Tales. Another book that talks about a different emotion is A Pocket Chaotic. This is from Cicada Books, and I wish you could tell, but you can't really tell from this, that this right here is almost fluorescent. It's a fluorescent orange. It just jumps off the shelf. So this is about a little kangaroo, Alexander, and his mom, Nancy, and she just puts everything into that pocket, and it really kind of stresses him out. So this is that kind of tension and stress that you feel when you can't control your environment. And you can almost kind of tell the fluorescent nature of it there. And he loves her, and he appreciates her, but it's getting really crowded in that pocket. And he even tries to organize everything, create a place for it. And then eventually everything explodes out of there, and he has to figure out a new way to adapt in a new place to live, a new environment. And he and his mom work together to create a new place that he's so angry here. Social emotional literacy. That's when he finds a half-eaten banana in there. He moves out of the pocket. But he loved being close to his mom. He loved being able to smell her. So what she does is she creates a new place for him to be, and she gives him an old scarf that has her smell there so that he can kind of feel that comfort and warmth. And he learns to adapt to a new environment. And that is The Pocket Chaotic. And he has his own chaos, but it's his own chaos. So that's a wonderful thing to be able to have. Next up, What If Wilhelmina? So this is from Blair Books, and this is a story about a little girl who just is so worried about her cat and about her cat escaping. So she constantly is fretting about that. And something that's really fun about this book is that there's also a very subtle art history lesson throughout, several little lessons where different works of art, famous works of art are actually referenced. But she worries about her cat getting away, and eventually, yes, the cat does get away. Let me show you one of these illustrations where you can see something that's inspired. You can see her, oh no, what would happen if her cat got away? And something else that's really fun about this particular book is that she's got two dads, and I love to see that family structure. Oh, there you go. Wilhelmina's back. So that's What If Wilhelmina, and this is based on the author's own family. So this is that structure in that family with two dads. Best Friends, Busy Friends is a wonderful story by Susan Rollins. This is published by Child's Play. And Susan is a longtime teacher. She's done behavioral science and neuroscience. And this is one of those books that is deceptively simple. You think it's just a simple little celebration of friendship, and it is a celebration of friendship. But in true Child's Play fashion, what they do is it's also a celebration of diversity. And I love how it normalizes differently abled children. And yeah, like the girl in the front with the wheelchair. So yeah, she's in a wheelchair. So there you go. But it's just really fun and smart, and a great way for kids to kind of see different models for friendship and different ways to be friendly to each other. So there you go. We have an interview with Susan Rollins on our website. I hope you'll check it out. And lastly, from Tiny Owl, This is the UK edition, so it's paperback, but we'll have a hardcover one here for us. We want something that'll last because Bloom is a really special book. So this is a story about a little girl who sees a flower on her way to school, and she talks to it every day and tells it how wonderful it is. And then one day, the guy who lives in the house hears her, and he yells at her, don't talk to my flower. And she gets kind of hurt, and so she goes a different way. And you know what happens to that flower after that point? Well, it is not so happy because it doesn't see the little girl anymore. And so he wants to figure out a way to make it bloom like it used to. And he tries everything. He tells it how important he is and why it should grow for him. And he just can't figure out what to do. And finally, the gardener says, you know, it was much happier when that little girl came by. So he humbles himself and he goes and he meets a little girl at school and says, would you please come and talk to my flower? And she does. So this is a story about learning how to admit you're not right, and learning how to be humble, and just to open yourself up to new experiences and to friendship. So also it's more about how building up really works better than tearing down. If you're trying to encourage somebody, that's a thing that's going to do it. So this is Bloom from Tiny Owl Books. Just a few of our SEL books that we have on our booth. Please take a chance to go and look at our Pinterest board, where we have several more for you to look at from other publishers. We have more than 20 publishers in our booth for this conference, so please do check it out. Now I have some books to share with you about refugee and immigrant experiences. This first book is Niños, Poems for the Lost Children of Chile, and this is by the same team that created Mexique, which has been on a lot of best of the year lists this year. I hope you've checked out. That's a true story based on children who were sent as refugees from the Spanish Civil War, thinking that it would only last a few months, and it's just an amazing story. But Niños is also an amazing story, and this is a Poems for the Lost Children of Chile, and that is about when President Allende, when that government fell, and thousands of people lost their lives, and among all those people who lost their lives were 34 children. And this takes those 34 children and lets them tell their story. So it gives voice to the voiceless. Just a beautiful exercise in empathy and understanding, and also grieving for lives that never were lived, but understanding that they were children and they had joys and they had disappointments and they had a full range of experiences. So it just is a way to honor those children. Think of it as a tomb for the unknown soldier, but in this case, these are known people, known children, and each one of these poems is a memorial to them. So that is Niños. Next up, from Lantana, I have Escape. And this is called Escape One Day We Had to Run. And this is an amazing collection of vignettes. Each one is a different verb and a story about a desperate journey. So let's see, this is Defy, and this is leaving in Nazi Germany. The Eritrea is one, Disguise, and this is from Bonnie Prince Charlie. So we have places all over the world, Syria, you name it. And these are different reasons for having to leave. It could be political, it could be economic, it could be climate. So this is an amazing book, and I just feel like Lantana just does such a beautiful job at creating these books that bring people from different cultures. In this case, Myanmar, they're from Hong Kong and from the U.S., and just they have a real heart for this kind of story. Next up, also from Erdmann's, we have Facing Fear. This may be the most important book you see at ALA this year, at ALA Midwinter. The story itself is great. It's about a boy who lives in a border town and is a member of a soccer team. The soccer team gets invited across the border to play in a tournament. He wants to go, and his parents have to explain to him that that's dangerous. That's dangerous for his family, for them to do that, because the parents are undocumented. So they talk through what that means for the family, talk through the story of how they came over, and he understands that he has to make a sacrifice. This sounds very heavy the way I'm telling it, and it's not a heavy story, although it is. I mean, it certainly deals with real consequences, but I want you to feel like it's didactic, because it's not. And one of the beautiful things is that the team, when they realize he can't go, is they make a sacrifice for him, and they all don't go. And they instead have a day and they play soccer in the park with their dads. But the thing that makes this book so important, besides just being a really good story, is that it contains some back matter that I think every library should have. And this may be the kind of thing that a family may not go and ask the reference desk, but if they find it in a children's book, it may actually get used and help them. So that is Facing Fear. Lastly, this is a fun thing. You may remember a book that Child's Play did a few years ago called Ice in the Jungle. Well, this was long enough ago that when you said ice, it was not a thing of fear. It was just a thing that was cold and wet and hard. In this case, they decided to change the name from Ice in the Jungle to Snow in the Jungle because this is a book that was being used with refugee and immigrant children. And so now it's Nieve en la Jungla. Hope I'm pronouncing that right. I apologize to those Spanish speakers out there. And this is a new edition. It's bilingual. It will be coming out in hardcover as well. And I love that the Spanish gets precedence in here, but this is a story about a little polar bear that is having to move to a new environment, leave everything that he knows behind, she knows behind, everything that they know behind, and get used to a new place that seems very unfamiliar. The food tastes weird. Man, that fish, it's actually banana, doesn't taste right. Oh my gosh, that doesn't taste right at all. And then in the end, his new friends try to make them feel welcome. So this is Snow in the Jungle, or Nieve en la Jungla. And I think this is just an example of how Child's Play is trying to be responsive to the current crisis and to show that they are listening and they care about the readers of these books and how they're used with kids. So these are just a few books about refugees. We have some also in our National Council for the Social Studies booth, so if you want to go and check that out. And please look at our Pinterest boards. We have lots of resources there as well. Thanks so much for joining us at ALA Midwinter for this Book Buzz.